الإسلام.
Previously, before I was Muslim, came from a Christian background, not really practicing in Christianity, had a lot of questions, found a lot of inconsistencies within the religion, wasn't really content, really not living a good lifestyle.
After a few years passed by, I was about 14, 15, I started to question, is Isa really the Son of God? And, it didn't make sense, inconsistencies in the Bible, and, there's a whole lot of other factors surrounding the religion. Is the Bible man-made, or is it a book of Allah? And after some time, I left the religion. I didn't really, my heart wasn't really into the religion. We wasn't that content believing in it. I looked into the occult and these esoteric kind of things. Looked into Judaism, but prior to that, I never actually went into looking into Islam, mainly because at the time there was a lot of things in the media surrounding Islam. Terrorism, suicide bombings, there was different stereotypes that made it seem like it was just for a religion from the people from the East, but they never actually go into the link in it between, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Ibrahim and Isa, and how they're all connected. So it's something I left. And then I had some Muslim friends who they would briefly tell me that Jesus is the Son of God and that he was a prophet, and because they were Muslims, I was quite surprised that they believed that Isa is, they thought he was a prophet. But then after a few months came by, we started discussing it more. I started doing my own research, looking into the history of Islam, the links between the prophets, and then my understanding became better that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the last prophet and the messenger of Allah. So I started to understand it more, that he was just our prophet for, we were part of his ummah and not of Isa's ummah, and it started to make a lot more sense. And I was around about the age of 16, previously age of 15 to 16, but after I found out about Islam, I stopped looking at everything else. I just started taking an interest and became more fascinated, intrigued with Islam. He said, "What's your opinion about Islam?" And I said, "It makes sense." I said, "It makes sense more than Christianity." And I said, it is the truth. It's very consistent. I told him about my previous religion, about Christianity, and I said, "I don't believe in it anymore." He said, "So what's your opinion about the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam?" I said, "I believe he is a prophet." And he said, "Do you believe there's only one God?" I said, "Yes, I believe there's only one God." He says, "So now you're a Muslim." He says, "But you don't know that you're a Muslim."
That conversation led to the question about why I'm not Muslim and the consequences of me not becoming Muslim, what I can gain from becoming Muslim.
If you choose not to utter the statement, he says, and you walk down wherever, he goes, a bus could hit you, you could have a heart attack, a stroke. He said anything could come on you, any calamities could befall you. So I took that in, but still that wasn't enough to convince me. So then the question came, he said, why don't you say the Shahada, why don't you become a Muslim? And subhanAllah, wallah, the words no couldn't physically come out of my mouth. I wanted to say no, but it wouldn't come out of my mouth. Yeah, in my heart is la, but it wouldn't come out, subhanAllah. So he asked me, do you want to say the Shahada? And I said yes. The brother said, repeat after me. So Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. That was it. The words come out of my mouth. I didn't actually know what I was saying at the time. But after, then he explained, you haven't done anything. He said you've just made the statement. You testified that there's no God but Allah and that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is his last and final message. I opened the book. I read Surah Al-Fatiha, but as I turned the page and I read Surah Al-Baqarah, Alif Lam Mim, this is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance for those who are conscious of Allah. But when I read that ayah, Allah's taken away all of those doubts. So I began to feel scared for myself because I thought I've doubted Allah.
I started to think, how could I have ever, doubted this religion or doubted the power of Allah, the truth behind his religion and his book. So it was something that within a matter of an hour, I had so many doubts. I wanted to leave Islam, and now I was so content that I'm in it.
the language that is used, and this is just in the translation, the language that's used is very powerful. It feels like direct speech, and I started to feel that connection with Allah with his book. So to me, the book was invaluable. Now I would take it everywhere I went. I would keep it with me. I'd read it. One of the main surahs which first affected me the most was Surah Takathur. It was, subhanAllah, it had a big impact on me, mainly because of, you know, the starting of it, Al-Hakamut Takathur Hatta Zurtumul Maqabir. Allah is saying that, you know, the worldly increase diverts you until you visit your graves. And at that time, when you know, everything around me, even my own situation, it was more materialism. Everyone was focusing to get money, you know, to get a nice car, nice house, just to get the most paid job. So it affected me, and it really made me start to think that, you know, what's gonna happen? We can strive to get all of this wealth, but when we die, what use is it gonna be to us? When I started to read the Quran, it was unlike the Bible and things. It's more like, when you read it, the language that's in it and use it, it's more personal, and it's like it's listening to the direct words of Allah. So it affected me a lot, and then I started to question myself more. You know, why am I here? I need to start to learn how to pray. I need to understand the religion more. I need to understand Allah's book. I need to start to develop my connection and my relationship.
When you hear it, even non-Muslim, they know that this is something different. It has some divinity from it. Like, it's not from men. The eloquence in it, the eloquence of the language, the speech in it, and you know, they can, even myself, you can tell that it's not from men, and that there's something special about it.